Jay Dhahan, thank you so much for coming to my home. It's been a pleasure getting to do some research on you. And so I wanted to really introduce you to the audience and tell everybody, Jay, what you do and kind of what you got a really cool story about moving to the United States, but like, who are you? You know, go back a little bit, family background.
Yeah,
I like to know the family piece on this thing.
Look, I remember those freezing cold mornings in Calgary, Alberta. You know, waking up, I was born and raised in Calgary, Alberta to immigrant parents that came out from India, England, you know, all for a better life for their next generation. So being born and raised in Canada, it was nice because I got to understand the culture, I got to, you know, really westernize myself at a young age. But the one quick thing...
How old were you when you came over?
So I was born there. I was born in Canada.
Yeah.
But just the way the culture difference of just the way that our family's teaching us one thing versus what the school systems are teaching us. So at a young age, you know, school really wasn't for me. I would go to school and I would attend it and I wouldn't because it was just forced education. I said, I want to learn what I want to learn. I was just that young, cocky kid, so to speak. And that led me into some trouble because, you know, my dad went from a taxi driver to a business owner. He started an Indian grocery store. That allowed us to have, you know, a decent amount of money coming in. And that allowed now me to have access to that money. But at the same time, in my high school years, I took that money and did the wrong things with it. So I spent that money on the wrong things, on the wrong people.
Like what?
Like drinking, smoking, all the greatness of that and all the gang wars and the things that we went through. We were talking like we were young Indian guys, like gurus, you know, rushing at each other with swords and bats, thinking that we were back in, you know, 1400s now. And from that transition, it landed me in some deep, dark places, actually. You know, I ended up remembering the time that I went to jail for that night. And
how old were you when you went to jail?
17 years old.
17.
First time.
Me too, man.
Yeah. And it was that moment I looked at myself, I said, really? My parents moved all the way and did all of this for me, and now what do I got to do? So I had to quickly shift. And because I had spent so much time outside networking and connecting with the wrong crowds, I started saying, okay, well, how do I find the right crowds? How do I get to seminars and webinars and be able to get a mentor that can help me and guide me? And very quickly...
At that time, sorry to interrupt you.
No, of course.
But at that time when you were 17, 18?
About 17, yeah.
Did you think that the right crowd was just a bunch of boring people?
In a sense, yeah. Well, I've always had an interest to real estate. And real estate was kind of more like suited, booted, and I just came from, you know...
Real estate is extremely boring.
Exactly.
It's the most boring
So when I would ever go to a
strategy
conference, of course, it's suits on and everyone's talking numbers and, you know...
So that had not been real to you. You were just kind of grunging it out, and then you had to up your game.
Exactly.
But when you looked at those people, when you looked at people like me, not that I'm the suit guy, the crypto guys call me a suit, and I'm like, you guys trying to... Why don't you just say what you really mean, okay? Yeah. You mean I'm rich? Is that what you mean? And you're upset about it? Or that I dress nice? Or like you don't? What are you saying about a suit? But did the suit look boring to you from the world you came from? Like, did you like, I can never get into this group. And by the way, why would I want to? Because that was my view. It's like, bunch of boring guys.
It was definitely looking at it going, is that really me? Especially the background that I'm having at 17, being in jails, you know, going around doing my thing. But I also looked as an inspiration. Like that is what white collar is versus blue collar.
Yeah.
Right? Blue collar is what my dad is doing. He's working every single day. He's pushing his ass every single day, 10 hours a day. And he's worked 20 years straight. Like the guy's taken 10 days off in the last 20 years. Right now, as we're doing this, he's at the shop. He doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And with that,
he likes it too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he loves it, of course. Yeah. He wouldn't never
retire. My father was, they were in the grocery business. I think you learn a lot from being in the grocery business. Inventory management, stocking, storing, how to take care of clients, margins, cash flow. There's a lot to be, I mean, I wouldn't want to be in the grocery business.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to learn from that.
Exactly.
Especially if you're a kid and you're watching it. That had to be impinge on you, right?
It was, and it was awesome because, you know, my dad was giving me really the fundamental knowledge of business, and he was busy at work, but whenever he would come home, he would teach me exactly what you just said, inventory management. This is how we're marketing, this is how we're branding. And my mom, because of her health, she was able to stay home with us, as well as the stay-at-home mom style where dad goes to work, mom stays at home with the kids. She was able to instill love and passion and you know, things that money can't buy. The responsibilities, the respect values, the loyalty, things that nowadays are very hard to come by.
Yeah, what I call parental nurturing, and it's not all snowflake and lovey-dovey, but it's, you know, my mom used to give me the old look, you know. And it's like, oh my God, man, she's giving me the look. She's gonna pinch me in a second. Me and Grant still have welt bruises and from church you know, you guys aren't behaving yourself. Was that the kind of mom you had?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's English, right? So she's
so she came
English
from Britain.
Indian, English Indian. So she had the Indian side of her, but the swearing came out when she would be like, "You drunken pig! You just pissing it away! You pissing it away! Stop drinking so much!" And those I remember those times. And
yeah, your mom grew up in England, where?
In Derby.
In Derby.
Yeah.
Okay. I spent 15 years in England.
Yeah, beautiful place.
Yeah, it is stunning. Do you get back?
Absolutely. I was just there for the holidays. My girlfriend now is actually from England too, so kind of tied it back home. It worked out well.
Yeah, closing the loop there. So you go to jail. You made some mistakes.
Yeah.
Did you have a moment where you like had that? Oh, hey, I have to change gears here really quickly, or I'm going to drive this car off the road.
That was exactly it.
What happened, man? That moment.
Sitting there.
In jail?
Looking around and seeing bars. And I remember asking him, I would say, "What time is it?" And the officers are officers, right? Like, don't ask me that. You're not getting that. And they gave me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a little juice box. And I'm allergic to peanuts. So what did I do? I used it as a pillow. I just kind of laid on it. And while I was sitting there, I'm like, where have I gotten myself?
Sued the cops, man. That's where I thought you were going with it.
That's actually good, though. That's good advice. And again, that pivotal moment was the changer for me, absolutely, at that age. And that's why I'm such an advocate for the next generation, the young folks. And I'll get to that. But, from that transitional point, it was finding that mentor, seeing somebody on a stage at a real estate conference, and saying to myself, one day, I only wish that I could be on a stage. I wish I could have a voice to make an impact in the world. And that kind of set me in the trajectory of being able to take the mindset knowledge and what we call mindset nowadays and really evolve at a young age. And that got me back into the real estate game. See, my dad was doing the Indian grocery store, but what also he was doing was investing a little bit of his money with his partner into residential real estate. And, buying small little houses, tearing them down and building them into duplexes. So that became a bit of our investment, kind of our first step into the investments. So what I said is I made a quote to myself. I said, listen, I'm going to go learn about real estate, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to take Dad's portfolio, and I'm going to bring it to commercial. That's my game. That's my goal. So I worked hard. I proved it up to him. I started cashing out on all of our residential properties. We ended up buying 3 small homes in a small municipality outside of Calgary, in Airdrie, and rezoned it, tore them down, and built our first commercial retail strip mall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was about 8,000, I still remember, 8,161 square feet. There was 8 individual bays. We leased it out to like a liquor store, doctor's office, pizza shop.
Sure.
These kind of little businesses.
Look how excited this cat's getting when he's talking about his first deal, man. Like his first sex. I mean, seriously, look at the cat. That's exciting. See, that's what an entrepreneur really digs doing.
Yeah. And that really set my journey on real estate. And from real estate, it was now, what more can we do? How many more deals can we do? So we started getting into the retail strip mall flipping. We started buying more land, building more buildings. I still remember, over 2 beers, I sat with a gentleman at a bar, and we raised $1 million of private equity because I made a mistake, actually. I bled too much of my cash up front. I bought the land, I started the construction, I was like, oh, I don't have enough. Now what do I do?
Ran out of fuel?
So I was like, I got to go raise some capital. And I'm, running into this gentleman who owned a couple of buildings in the city as well too. And at that moment, I think it was another pivotal moment where I said, communication and connection with people is actually more important. See, everyone wants money. And then when they get money, they're like, no, it's not money, it's time, because you can't buy back a minute. But if you really start to understand people are everything, money is going to come from other people for you to fuel a business, for you to do anything. So at that moment, I was like, okay, let's change up. Let's get involved. But where the story doesn't get too great, because now money's coming in. Buildings are happening. Real estate is moving. So what do? I'm in my mid-20s. I'm saying to myself, look, I got millions in my hand. Now what do I want to do? So what do I do? Try to buy a nightclub. Try to buy a holistic clinic. Try to start a marketing agency. Business after business. Failure after failure after failure. Trying to think that all these gurus telling me online 7 forms of income and you need this. Didn't work. Didn't work. Finally kept the real estate business going. Sustained the offices, built my real estate office, and we also had our consulting agency to help business owners. And that started to run, and we're moving, COVID hits. And
So we're 2019.
Yeah. COVID hits, and that changes the gear. They shut us.
Your
They shut us
government
down.
go into just complete.
What our government did was
And
something.
they showed their name, huh? Did they show their blood or what?
I don't think anybody knew about Canada until they started making fun of it in that way.
Like scary people.
It was bad. It was bad. So they shut us down. They open us back up. They hand us $60,000 per business loans, SEBA loans, that we can now get our business back up and running. We do that for 3 months. They shut us back down. I went from opening. I had 2 offices open, had to shut one down, opened another one back up, and all of a sudden, boom. I think to myself, I said, if I'm willing to put the time and effort to grow a business, to grow a legacy, I have to be in a place that's going to allow me to do that. And unfortunately, Canada wasn't that place.
There you go.
So I made a bold decision. I told my mom and my dad, I said, I'm going to go to the United States and I'm going to go snowbird. And I'm just going to spend 6 months out there. And Florida was already in my horizon. I didn't know where in Florida. I was actually really more towards Miami than anything. And made that bold decision in end of 21. End of 21, I made that decision and I said, I flew out here. I was here for about 6 months. I fell in love with Tampa very quickly. I actually stumbled upon Tampa and then came around it and said, you know what, this is where I want to be.
Stumble? What do you mean?
One of my good friends that I met at conference, she was actually doing an event and she asked me to sponsor it. So it was empowering women to have their voice and really just a women empowerment type of community that she was building. So I decided to sponsor it and she said, why don't you just come join us? You can meet my husband and and I ended up going there. We're on a yacht and I'm like, okay, this is a different lifestyle than the mountains and all the snow and all the stuff that I've experienced. And that kind of led me towards Tampa. And I said, you know what, this is the place to be. And since then, I've been building my business and I've been building our speaking and coaching business. And really, it's Lion's Den. It's empowering men. I felt that there was a need in the market where men are suppressed on the way that we think, the way that we emotionalize. So I created a community called the Lion's Den that empowers men to have that safe place where they can build their masculine energy, they can become the #1 connector, and they can really go out there and use their voice to make impact. Whether it's building relationships or closing deals, it becomes irrelevant. It's being the person that you're designed to be.
Yeah. Well, the hunter, if you get the guy back to being a hunter, hunter-gatherer, supplier, producer, protector of the family, man, something. That's when I feel the best, when I'm hunting and defending my tribe. How did you get into that concept of, that men needed, because it sounds like you had a relatively stable childhood. What brought you to that cognition that men needed some kind of nurturing from other guys?
Drinking alcohol. I would spend a lot of times at bars, a lot of time. Drinking. For me, it wasn't the partying, it was the networking and socializing. But the more that I sat at bars, the more that I would spend hours and hours.
You're a communal human being?
Yeah, absolutely. And the more that I would sit there and talk to these men at the bar that were sitting there to either escape or they were sitting there because their wives, something happened. They're sitting there because their businesses or they don't have the right job. All these complaints. And I thought to myself, well, why aren't you expressing it? But there's no way to express it because men are taught, be a man.
Well, if they express it, they're angry men then, right?
Exactly. And then we get labeled on something else. I watched this post.
Try being white and a guy and rich right now.
Yeah, fair point.
It got a little weird there for a while. I literally would go into, a doctor's office or a counselor's office. You got to fill all these forms. What race? Rich, white, old. Okay, and divorced. So you guys are going to just tag with. Like you're gonna crush me. It's become a race, man. Yeah. And I think actually I see a lot of discrimination against men, and I don't want to necessarily get there, but just the concept of this women's thing, like, hey, we're doing a whole women's thing, okay, which is cool. Mm-hmm. Like in the payments industry, MasterCard and Visa have this big club, and they literally are into all these LGBTQ, like do everything, be sweet and wonderful to every butterfly that flies around, until it gets to the guys. So they'll do 2,000 or 3,000 women in a room, sponsored by Visa, MasterCard. Imagine, dude, if I did this. Now, you and I might be able to do it because you're Indian, and that's just a total racist move on them. Yeah. But imagine if I said, hey, I'm going to go get all my rich banking friends and we're going to do an exclusive, okay, at the Hilton Hotel or the Lanesborough Hotel in central London. and no women are allowed. Like everything would stop, dude.
Yeah.
The
That would
world
be an
would
attack.
go. It would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd probably.
Yeah.
Like it's
The
so
amount of hate that would
wrong
come from
right
that,
now.
absolutely.
What's going on is so much bullshit, and I support women getting together. Okay, like I'm not
Absolutely.
saying, dude, get together.
Look, there's one race. It's called the human race.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly.
You know, I watched this post and it was incredible. I don't know who it was. I think maybe it was Chris Tucker. He said it. He said men are the only ones that are not unconditionally loved. You see, there's babies. Babies are unconditionally loved because they're new humans that come into the world. Cats and dogs, they become a part of the family, so they're unconditionally loved. Women, this is where it's like, oh, is it going to get controversial now? But every man knows that he came from a woman, so he'll always respect his mother. But men only are unconditionally loved when they provide. Going back to your hunter and gatherer comment, it's instinctively us. We're designed to go out and hunt and bring back and to provide. But now in this world of our face value world that we're in, it's interesting that we don't get that same attention for providing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's gotten really confused too. I mean, in the 70s, you know, you had a lot of psychologists and shrinks move into this whole world and talk about feminism, and women threw away their bras, which I was a big proponent of. Hey, let's do that, man. Awesome. But I think, you know, the stress of a woman feeling like she has to go out and be the president of a company to be worthwhile. I never made that up. Like for me, my mother, I got a phone call this morning. I don't even know how this lady found my number. She got 4 kids, and she saw a podcast that I did about my mom. And my mother didn't work. She took care of the kids. She made me 3 squares a day. She learned how to cook from a black woman that must have weighed 300 pounds. Her name was Katie. Still, she really was important to me in my life. So I find it hilarious when people say I'm a racist, because it's like, dude, I had a black lady sticking her finger up my butt, like when I was 2. I mean, like, are you serious? Yeah. This woman helped me, man. Yeah. She taught my mom how to cook, because my mom, her mom died when she was 12. So, and then she became this mother of like 5 Sicilian kids, dude, like at 12 years old. And, you know, what she did for me was she created a foundation of behavior that when I was bad, she would make sure that I knew that I was bad. Shame the shit out of me, hit me, beat me, whatever. And at about 12 years old, she lost control because we were too strong at that point. But, you know, I see these people go, hey, look, I need to go and become a CEO. And it's like, first off, most people should never become a CEO. Secondly, it's the loneliest life in the world. So, like, I don't care how much money you have. It's like, really? You want to be the CEO? I want a wife that takes care of my family.
Absolutely.
And I want to be the warrior. Like, that's my job. It's cool if somebody else wants to be the warrior, but one of us has to stay home. Yeah. One of us has to take care of the main deal, dude. The main deal is the family. It's not money.
Exactly.
Right? It's having these rich experiences that you get all excited about. Like you really, so, I mean, I don't think you or I are trying to get into the whole women thing, but we have left the guy behind a little bit.
And maybe just in something that, let's take it back to one of the most classic, oldest games, the game of chess. This is how I was, got into a relationship with the woman that I love so much right now, is I said something simple to her at the very beginning to see if it was going to be the right fit. I said, let's look at the game of chess. There's 2 very simple rules to the game of chess. When the king dies, the game is over. Mm-hmm. Number 1 rule. If we can understand that, we'll understand the next rule. So she looks at me, so what's the next rule? I said, the queen is the most powerful piece on the board.
Right up.
So if we can understand these 2 things, you take care of me, I take care of us. Then we take our army, we take our forces, and we go and do whatever we need to do.
Yeah, I like that. I'd not heard that before. That's really a cool analogy. And clearly, our world, you made a comment about the men aren't treated well. I know men that do not treat women well. Okay, not cool.
No.
Not cool, and
Absolutely.
Doubly not cool. And in fact, I know guys that watch guys that treat women poorly, and we don't say anything about it. Not cool either. I mean, I have a role I think I've had a role since I was 16, but truly at this age, I have a role to tell somebody, hey, knock that shit off, dude. Yeah. It's not cool. And I'm not even gonna support you in it in my community if you're gonna behave in certain ways. We need to do more of that.
Yeah.
And be okay with the tension of people not liking you. there are a lot of people that don't like me. And it's like, bro, sorry, but you're not contributing your fair square. You're taking. This is going to be I think we're in this really weird flux. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
People are going through something. I'm not sure I know how to describe it, but for the way I would describe it would be like a spiritual transformation that they're not really aware of.
Exactly. And we're labeling it. We're going out and saying mental health. We're saying this, we're saying that. And we really need to understand it's just really understanding ourselves subconsciously.
Yeah, I think it's a vibrational dissonance. And people are going, hey, I'm ADHD.
Yeah.
Dude, whatever, bro. Okay, if you need a reason, go take a pill. Go take a pill. But you don't need the reason, okay?
Don't label it. Just do it.
But don't label it.
Exactly.
Like I've had so many people tell me how weird I am. I'm like, dude, it's been working for me pretty good.
Yeah.
And I just got to get comfortable with it and not think that I need to be like him. Like I could never pull off that cat's hair, dude. And neither could you. But it looks good on him, dude. You know, I'm like, whoa, that cat's doing it. We should take a picture of what we're talking about here. We just need to let everybody be who they are and support them when they're, making progress.
And authenticity really comes out of that. And I think that's one of the most powerful frequencies out there. They said for a while, love was the most powerful frequency, but authenticity is the key. And it's the hardest thing to come by because it's truly being yourself. We're trying to put these labels on. We're trying to look at social media and thinking, oh, Lamborghinis and a big house is going to give me fame and fortune and make me successful. But at the end of the day, it's like, what is the internal dialogue that you're having inside your head? I'm very psychological when it comes to that because if you can't take care of yourself, if you cannot become whole and complete yourself, we try to go out there and build businesses and build families and try to get into relationships without being whole and complete ourselves. That's such an integral part. And with this generation now, it's interesting because they're young, they're quick, they're fast, but they have no direction. They have no leadership. People are telling them this insta-famous stuff versus actually giving them real technical, economical, real psychological type of information that can help guide them the right way. Like when I first met Gus, he was 16 years old. It was incredible. We met at a conference, actually at a 10X conference, and we were there. And within 30 minutes, I just knew. I was like, there's something about this kid that's just different. If I take him under my wing and I pour my heart into him, where could he be in the next 10 years? Just like I was scared when I was 17, going, what do I do? If somebody had given me that guidance at 17, imagine where I would be right now.
Right.
So I decided to make a movement. I said, it's all about the next gen. So even my company's name is Next Gen Wealthy. It's building the next generation to live their life with abundance, freedom, and wealth. And the thing about wealth as well, too, is a lot of people associate wealth with money.
Yeah, how do you define wealth?
I define wealth as an abundance and freedom. It becomes understanding terms like loyalty, respect, value, responsibility, and then, of course, absolutely, it has to do with money. But money doesn't come first. When your thought pattern is money first, it's backwards. When you think about the other things in life that will actually fulfill, a lot of my clients will come to me and they'll say, okay, Jay, I want to find my purpose, my why, my life calling. How do I do that? That's the classic question I get. And I say to them, I say, listen, it's not about figuring out a why. What it is about imagine your ideal lifestyle. How do you wake up? When you wake up in the morning, who are you laying next to? What does she look like? How is she? You go to the doors, you open them up. Are you looking at a beach? Are you looking at water? Are you looking at a cityscape?
This horrible view.
Beautiful view.
I imagine a horrible view.
You go downstairs though. Is your spouse making breakfast? Is there little kids running around, dog, cat playing? Right. You go into the garage. Is there a car? Is it an SUV? Is it a Lamborghini or is it a Honda Civic? Like imagine that. Where are you going for your 8 hours, your 10 hours that you're going to spend in your life? Are you going to your real estate properties? You're going to the office? Imagine that. In the evening, you taking the wife to date night, you're meeting up the boys for beer night. Picture that day, because that day is going to fuel you more than trying to figure out a goal and then writing your goal down. Like goals, it doesn't work. What works is the future outcome of your life. That fuels me every single morning.
That's cool. That's cool. I define wealthy as the ability to say no. And the right to walk around my house and do business with people barefooted. Like, why would anybody care, man? I know it's a little weird, okay? It's not normal, but why would anyone care? 3 bankers show up at my house and Gary's barefooted. Like, I know whole traditions that you take your shoes off at the front door and you don't walk in with your shoes. That's not my deal. I don't care if you bring your shoes in. But like, I just noticed, oh, I'm barefooted. I hope the cameras don't pick it up. And it's like, dude, this is the way I live. Yeah. And this authenticity thing, I've been telling these guys, I believe well, there's a number of things you said in here. One, the crypto people, I don't know how much you know about crypto, but the Bitcoin people talk about, 21 million units, never more than 21 million units. It's the most finite product in the history of mankind. I said, no. Dude, you and I, okay, if Bitcoin's worth 42,000, what are you worth? Okay, it's more than 42 grand because we're never going to make another one. There's just one. Mm-hmm. And then we go about and we squander it. We squander that uniqueness. So the same people that are buying Bitcoin are squandering their very uniqueness, their very finite nature. And I think this authenticity thing plays in that, because the less I'm authentic, the less I am an infinite, a finite thing. I haven't even shown the world what my Bitcoin is, who I am as a finite, massively finite entity that I can't even explain how I was mined. I cannot explain to you how I got here. Probably can't replicate it in this century. Sure. Where do I go with that? I'm like, okay. Then you make some observations of the world and go, wow, people are chasing 21 million units like it's going to go out of style, like it's going to disappear. I watch Twitter and Spaces and CNBC and all these news channels. I'm like, there isn't an authentic human being on this planet, man. Wow, I think authenticity is going to be the 20, 25, 35, 40 commodity trade. And there's very few people that can pull it off, man. Very few.
Of course, because everyone has their agenda. Everyone's selling. Everyone's selling a product.
Well, and they have a closet full of skeletons.
Yeah.
You can't be authentic if you got a closet full of skeletons. Mm-hmm.
But it takes even the courageous bold like yourself, wearing no shoes, to say, I'm stepping into my authenticity. I'm going to do what is actually going to serve me. And it's hard because you have to be selfish before you can be selfless, but all of us want to be selfless. We want to go make an impact. We want to go help the world. We want to go do all that stuff. But if you can't take care of yourself, you can't go out there and take care of others.
Yeah, the selfless thing, that makes no sense to me, okay? Like I'm not giving you gasoline so your car can run, okay? I'm going to put the gasoline in my car first. I mean, I need to make the journey,
exactly.
Okay? And it doesn't mean I need to be, I mean, I'm sure I did 10 years of men's trainings, 30, 40 people. I think I put 1,000 Brits, toughest people in the world, to break down through a very aggressive 72-hour men's training program. It was called
Incredible.
The Warrior, it was intense, man. I'm not even sure it was legal, but it was awesome. It was really awesome. I mean, literally, you come in, Gary, only 30 people allowed. There's 60 other masters there, guys.
Oh, wow.
And you walk in at 7 p.m., you lose your name immediately. Cardone becomes number 6, and that's all they refer to. Number six, removes the whole ego.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they were just destroying the ego, which is really necessary.
Yeah.
Because you can't sit there and be authentic and still have ego, because what you're going to get is some asshole sticking a gun in your face going, look at me, dude, this is authentic for me, and I want everything you have. That's a really bad authentic.
I go back to Jeff. I always say Jeff.
The
3 gatekeepers to our mind to only condition ourselves to what it was designed to do, which is survive. Jeff. Judgment, ego, fear. The judgment of others, the ego within yourself, and the fear of the unknown. This was something that was taught to me by one of my early mentors, Richard Dolan, and it hit me so hard to understand, which keeper am I standing in? When a situation, a negative or an adversity hits you, which keeper am I speaking from? Am I speaking from judgment, thinking what other people are going to think? Am I thinking egotistical, like I know what I'm doing, I'm better than everybody else? Or am I thinking fearful? I don't know what to do. We always speak from one of them. And the minute that we can get more calculated with our subconscious mind to understand which one we're in, it allows us to position ourselves, equal that out, and then know what the next step is. So I'm a big believer of hypnotherapy and in the background of NLP and a lot of the mind work that it takes. And everyone calling mindset, it's setting your mind. It's actually putting in the work to set your mind. That's what leads you to understanding what thought pattern you want to manifest. And again, a lot of these gurus online are saying positive, power of positivity and the law of attraction and all this stuff. Again, going back to the labels. What it really is again, finding your inner peace. I've been learning a lot from different religions. I was born into Sikhism, but I studied Hinduism, I studied Buddhism, and I've even learned a lot about Christianity and Catholicism. And ultimately, any religion really speaks the same truth. They're all saying the same thing in a sense. God is one, thou shalt not steal, don't kill, it's the basic principles. But what you understand with the spiritual side is the in-tuneness of your own mindset, being able to calm. So when we do hypnosis, we break down the mindset and just really get into a deep, relaxed state of theta. And inside theta is very interesting because we can reprogram.
How do you define theta?
Theta is a state, so there's 4 states of mind. We're in beta right now. Currently we're in beta, we're in conscious mode. But if I asked you, just what was the first car you ever drove? What was that first beater? What color was it? What year was it? You went into your first state of your subconscious, which is alpha now. So it's the first level of your subconscious. Underneath that now is your theta state. And then lastly is delta, which is your REM sleep. But in theta, which is very interesting, is that theta is a level where visual is completely turned off because about 83% is visual. So even if I keep my eyes closed right now, of course my senses have heightened, but I'm only relying on about 11% and the rest between just the rest of my senses. But what happens now is that if I can get into a deep, relaxed state of mind inside theta, I can reprogram. I can actually alter. I can now actually go in there and sew things up and go and actually deal with my traumas, deal with certain experiences, of course guided, because there has to be some sort of practicality and technical to it. But this allows you to be able to free your mind from some things. When I was working with Dr. Rob Kelly, it costs a lot. It was a lot of money to work with him for 30 days. But this man, he put me through training. 7 a.m. I would meet him every single day. If I was late to the session, he would cancel it. If I if I missed 3 times, the whole thing would be done. It cost me $50,000 for 30 days. But one of the most intensive trainings, because he got me into my subconscious mind. And as much as I love my parents, I told you about my parents. They're my mom and dad are my everything. They were holding me back.
Yeah.
My dad was holding me back financially, even though all he wanted me to do was make money. And my mom was holding me back from a health standpoint, even though all she wanted me to do is be healthy. Because my mom wasn't healthy, and my dad was putting this "you're not good enough" status in my head. Once I removed that from my subconscious mind, I was free. Now it's me. Now it's back to my life. How do I now want to live my legacy and build my next generation to then eventually make them proud? Yes.
Yeah. Well, if you're being authentic, they'll end up being proud. Last thing I want to do is jam my kids into my business or what I think. I mean, like they need to create their own deal, man. Like I would never have either one of my kids work with me unless it was just their, hey, Dad, I have to. This is my deal. Happy to send them to you, and you send yours to me, because then you get to fire them. You're not going to have any, like, dude, you're late again. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. You need to go learn something your dad knows about showing up on time. Do you think that you mentioned something about religion and, we keep going to this authenticity. I see religion as really, really simple. I don't need to know any more than that. I am. Wow. What am I here for? Mm-hmm. This why thing. I listened to a guy on Spaces yesterday. They were talking about some of this NLP, and he was like, "Hey, you have to know why you're doing something. Why are you doing it?" I'm like, "Dude, really?" And then he goes into the what, and no, the what is more important. I'm like, "Dude, if I stopped on what, I would have stopped every business I ever created. What am I going to do? What am I going to do is totally unnecessary." Yeah. Before I form my vision of what I am. I am, not I am unless it's impossible. Yeah. Or I am as long as Google doesn't do something to me, or I am as long as Visa doesn't have a monopoly, or no, dude, I am, like I literally wrote down on a piece of paper one day, I am going to own and run a business in Europe around energy. There's zero possibility for me to get to England or Europe and build an energy business. 6 months later, I was there. Well, unbelievable, okay? Yeah. All I have to do is write the shit down. I don't need to judge it, right? And then I have to confront. I write it down, man. I just let it flow out of me like I paint. I like these guys. These guys are always writing shit. And it's amazing the notes I take, right? It's not what you would think.
Yeah.
My job is to write down and understand who I want to be, almost in a comic book way. Like, why do you have to put it in a hardback and make it, oh, I know how I'm going to get the, do the comic book, Marvel. Right, I'm super fucking man, right?
I like
if
that.
you are,
I like that.
And you'll carry yourself through, right? Yeah. But for me, that's where religion has failed so many people. It's so sad. If we just get back to I am, and I don't care if it's Indian, Muslim, Quran, Catholic, I don't think any of them have a product that allows them to say, this is working. So it's been distorted in some way. I just look at the product, man. Look at the product. Nobody's even going to church anymore, which I think is sad, really sad. I think some of what you're doing is a little churchy, you know, because you're having to go inside, which most people do not like to do, by the way.
But it's necessary. It's that hard work that we got to put in.
You would say that all your internal journey work has helped you move to the United States as a Canadian citizen. You escaped what I think is a horrible prime minister, dude. He's destroying what used to be a great country. It's amazing how you guys actually get really nervous talking on video.
Speaking about the country, look, I'm born there, so I want to be a little biased and say I feel that it is the best country.
The best country where?
Why?
You're living here, bro.
just
hello.
If it was actually ran the right way, we have resources, we have landmass, we don't have a big population. There could be things, if led the right way, it could actually flourish as an economy in the world.
Yeah, but you let all these Chinese people walk in here and overpay for property just like the people in London did, dude.
Exactly.
There's nobody that, 46% of all the property in central London, 1 mile around Buckingham Palace, is owned by Middle Eastern people and Russians.
Yeah.
46, dude. You can't even afford anything in Mayfair anymore.
And that's the problem, is that without proper leadership, this is how a country that is so rich technically is not.
In resources.
It's not. Yeah. That's why I'm running away from the country coming here, because this is the land of the free, and I got to experience that firsthand. I get to come here and say, look, I can build a business. The American dream is possible. People here are willing to understand you and be able to, you know, really respect the fact that you want to go out and actually use your voice to do something. And it's impossible to do that in Canada. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine, I was like, name, you know, a billionaire in Canada. You don't really think of them. And I was like, it's hard because your actual environment makes a huge impact in the success that you have. And that was one of the biggest decisions of coming out here and staying here, was, you know, being in these rooms, getting in conversations with people. You know, just last night, I ran into Jeff Finnick. You know, he was there at Boulon there, and they were having a nice little 1-year anniversary for the restaurant being open. And, you know, him and Bill Gates have built Water Street. Like, it's incredible how much they've been able to build it. 5 years ago, it used to be parking lots for the Amalie Arena, and now it's, you know, in the high rise that I live in Heron, $1 billion project right there. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm glad you're here. What do you like about it? What do you like about America? Like, how is it different?
The people, the energy. You know, people here, you know, you go sit down, you're sitting at a bar, you're having a drink. They're not looking at you like, oh, why is he wearing a Rolex? Or why is he... In Canada, everyone has a lot of like jealousy type of mindset. Here it's like, oh, that's cool. You're wearing a nice watch. You're doing good. How's your day going?
Yeah, right.
I just realized people don't really care about what you're worth or where you're from. They care about just having to be present. And I think that's something also that I feel this generation is just lost on, is being present.
I think Americans are very open to people coming into the country. When I was in London, I think they asked me maybe once a week when I was going home. And every time I talked to the Yanks, they'd be like, when you coming back, dude? The Brits were trying, and look, what's the difference? Very small island, finite resources. They have it in their DNA. Hey, man, we can't have all these outsiders coming in here, especially if they're smart and they're taking shit from us, like we did for the last 700,000 years, right? But you come here, it took me a long time to understand, hey, what's the difference between these two people? Because it has to be the landmass and the amount of stuff we have. We are self-sustaining. And I think that creates hey, yeah, y'all come on in, man. We need more. Like, I love your contribution. Do I agree with dude, I don't have to agree with everything somebody does. Is it more good than bad, right? And if you're aware, it's very hard to keep going down the I'm worse than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, if you're
Very
just
true.
doing even slight improvements, man. I mean, just like one
Incremental steps.
tiny little slight improvement, okay? If you're drinking too much, okay, drink less, man.
Yeah.
If you don't think yet, just drink a little bit less. There's so many things, little tricks. Like, why don't you tell the audience, what would be your top 1, 2, 3 tricks just to get started in the authentic, I'm going to find out who I am as a unique creature, like that, I like the octopus. Why? Okay, well, the octopus, I just figured this out, dude. You know, I've been drawing these freaking question marks, bro, for fucking years. Question marks. If you look closely, you'll see question marks in a lot of the art I do. What's the octopus got? All question marks, bro. That is the most intelligent creature on this planet. And I think the question is, I think what's happening is that they're constantly trying to solve the puzzle. Everything is a big freaking question. And that cat is able to do amazing things. And when I started looking at his arms, I'm like, my God, dude, they're in the form of question marks. Now, I know it sounds really weird, but what if the thing is always just trying to solve a puzzle? It's just a puzzle, right? The whole thing's a puzzle. Solve, which is frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
I went off on it, but see, I think that to me is like, if I'm in dissonance, which means I'm uncomfortable with myself, I need to listen to that message.
Right.
Okay, that is the message. Fear tells me where I need to go, dude. Like me and my brother, we're both, fear has driven me to do some crazy shit. That the more the fear is, I'm like, I really need to go do that. I don't need to run away from it. I need to go do it. It's something I'm going to learn about myself in that experience. Yeah. What would you say, top 1 or 2 things that are essential for someone to be able to start that kind of journey?
I think the first thing you kind of said it is reverse engineer. We're trying to be the most authentic person, but it just starts with today. It just starts with an incremental step. It just starts with, what can I do today to really be in my mode? And for some people, it may be, recording yourself online and actually posting a video. For some people, it might be just going out into the world and actually just shaking somebody's hand and having a conversation. Whatever it is that may be holding you back, figure out just one step. We try to figure out, us humans, we're so complex, so we're like, I need to know all the steps, I need to see the whole picture, I need to see the end result, and then I'll put my effort in. And that's wrong, because you're going to have to fail. You're going to have to fail forward, as John Maxwell always says, and you're going to have to keep pushing forward. So find an incremental step 1 versus step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be my first recommendation. And then in terms of authenticity, it becomes hard to give a step to become authentic. But I think the real only step is to be yourself more and more. But how do you do that? How do you actually figure that out? You have to go find your identity. You got to go build it. You got to go out there. You got to go find things that you don't like. I think disqualifying is a lot easier than even qualifying.
That's why people argue so much, bro.
Yeah.
It's easier to argue than it is to figure out what we agree on.
Absolutely.
It's so much easier.
Yeah.
See, I think that's essential. Every business I go into, dude, like when I bought Node 40, first thing I asked them, what aren't we doing? Oh, let me tell you what. No, dude. I want to know what we don't do.
Exactly.
Okay? If I can take all these little scribbles and go, okay, we are not doing this. Now, what are we doing? Okay? Like, I don't want to do all this. This is a disaster. Yeah. And people go off,
Yeah.
3 months later, they'll be like, yeah, but I saw this deal. Oh, yeah, we said we weren't chasing short-term revenue. Dude. Yeah. That's not part of our deal. I don't like that girl. Okay, don't ask her out, bro.
And I think you just answered the third one that I would say is like, when you set those parameters, stick to them.
Yeah, you got to stick to them.
That was one biggest mistake that I made in my life was, I'm going well, but now I want this one. Now I want this shiny. Now I can buy this business. Now I can build this. And I started always distracting myself instead of just sticking to what my commitments were.
And that can be so true of ethics also. I know a lot of people that are extremely ethical when they're broke. And then, you know, they start making $8 million a year, and they're like, man, you know, these taxes are starting to be really heavy duty, and I don't think I'm going to pay them this year. And then they wonder why, dude. You just broke your religion.
Yeah.
You know, you broke what you believed in. You can't be an asshole. You know, I tell my Bitcoin guys, I'm like, bro, if you're an asshole right now, whether you have 1,000 Bitcoin or 0, you're still an asshole. I mean, it's not going to help you. You're just going to be more miserable. And that's the amazing thing. No one told me when I was 16, hey, bro, you know, the more successful you get, the more miserable you will become unless you have cleaned your shit up. Like, I have been on airplanes before by myself with a bottle of whiskey, dude. Like, this is not what I was hoping for. Big old fucking jet, dude, like flying over to the Atlantic going, yeah, this is awesome. Let me pour myself another, right? And going, wow, dude, like, not even any chicks hanging out with me, man. You know, just lonely and off course.
Yeah.
But I had to acknowledge that I was lonely and that, hey, this is not successful. Okay, this is now gone way beyond where I wanted to be. Yeah. And it's a constant, people think you make it at some point. Dude, it's a constant recorrect.
Yes.
Recorrect.
Always.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
You think your dad's proud of you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Mom?
Yeah. They still don't agree with US, but that's, and they're like, just come home.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, I think anyone that really wants to step out of their comfort zone has to get away from home.
Have they been down to see you?
Not yet. No.
Well, you're going to have them over.
Yeah.
We'll have them over to dinner here.
Absolutely.
And then they'll be like, I think my son made the right decision.
Yeah, I think he's done well.
Yeah. You know, one of my big advices to anyone that's 15 to 26 is the moment you finish high school, if you're not going to college, leave your mom's home. You must get out of mommy and daddy's home, okay?
Yeah.
You cannot suck on the tit anymore, okay? You need
Straight
to
up.
like put your underwear on and wake up at 7 o'clock and go to McDonald's and go get a job. Or call me, I'll give you a job, okay? Start doing something. You have to get away from that little pillow, that little bed that you live in. Lake Charles, Louisiana was our little bed. We knew all the streets. We knew who we could steal from and scam and do our little bullshit, dude. It was just bullshit, right? Had to go to Houston and go, uh-oh, these people are moving a little bit faster than me. Right?
Exactly.
I can't do some of this shit. That's been good for you, right? Leaving?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a transformational journey because, again, you're not only just away from home, you're not only just away from what you're known, but I was quite well known there. You know, I was living the life.
That can be a problem.
I was driving the car. I was living in the house. I got the condo downtown. I'm living lavishly. And to give that all up to start brand new was hard, but it was necessary because I knew I couldn't get to the level that I wanted to be at there. So to give up such a life that you're living so beautifully to say, let's start brand new with new people, new city, new country, everything was a complete change for me. But it was the most transformational change that I've made. Those pivotal moments that we talked about, that was the one. It wasn't me sitting there in a jail cell thinking, what do I do? That was a part of the journey. But this one was now my environment completely changed the trajectory of my life. Hence why I'm even sitting here with you right now.
Yeah.
And God bless for that.
Yeah. No, for sure. Look, and for me also, man, I find, I've had 4 careers. And people thought I was crazy the first time I did it. And I was just like, I'm not going to be a prisoner to anything. And the career thing, who are these people telling me they're career counselors. It's not like they've knocked the ball out of the park, okay?
It's fair. Always learn from somebody that you want to be like that has that mindset and also, yes, physical things. You know, I look up to you right now. I came to the home, but I just look at your content and what you bring to the table. And it's very different. It's unique. It's authentic. It's real. And I love just the economy piece of it because we need more education like that.
Oh, we need
to
a lot
learn
of education.
more about money. We only learn from our parents, and if we learn from our parents,
they were wrong.
Absolutely, they're a different generation.
But they were wrong.
In every generation,
they were lied to, and they bought the They bought the financial vaccine just like they bought the vaccine.
Yep.
And they were wrong.
Exactly.
And they're still wrong, and we're getting ready to find out how wrong they were. The bank sold us a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Put people into debt that was unnecessary.
With crypto on the rise, though, I think this is going to be an interesting next 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just bought some before I came back. I was gone to England for a couple of weeks and ended up just spending a little bit. Then I got about almost shy of 2 of them.
Good, man.
Just picked them up. Man.
Whole coiner here, boys. Whole coiner. Okay.
Obviously a little late because it is, there's 24, but never late. Never late. Exactly. Never late.
24,
I realized that.
Let me tell you, this is the best entry point. I'm going to tell you.
Agreed.
You should go and do everything you can to buy 3 more because this is the most risk-adjusted, best entry point in Bitcoin's entire history. Okay, $300. It was a stupid bet, man. That's why nobody bought 10. That's why nobody bought them all. They should have just bought them all. Dude. $3, 30 cents at 3 cents. Okay.
That'd be something.
But dude, we have every green light you could possibly imagine for this product, this class of a new asset, and it's truly going to be a shocking. Yeah. I think it's going to be a shocking event for a lot of people. So good for you for pushing in. See, I like the community that it's building.
Yes.
And I don't think there's a dollar value put on the community.
True.
No network value, dude. Zero.
True.
It's just finite. The 21 million.
That's fair.
But like I would never have met you, and there's about 10,000 people that I would not have met and am having ongoing relationships with because of this industry. It's very cool.
And even geopolitically, I know we didn't get too into geopolitical side of things, but when you look at digital currency and you look at these smaller countries that are now building themselves up, and you even see bigger countries like Asia that could really now take their systems that they've deflated their markets so bad to start to actually improve it using something that has a sustainable movement.
Yeah.
With the actual, I'm not getting too technical on it, but when you look at it, from a gold perspective, a lot of people are comparing it to gold right now. They're saying, it's a commodity like gold. It's interesting to see, when we actually had our currencies backed on gold, when it was an actual currency, it wasn't just something that we just print off now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see now newer economies and emerging markets really be able to take something like that on and be able to see what they do in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, very good to have you out. I hope you come out again. And if your parents come in,
absolutely,
definitely going to have them over for dinner, okay?
I appreciate that.
I think they would enjoy that.
Yes, they would.
Yeah, awesome.